Hi everybody, so today I want to talk about different levels of carrying water, using a jug, and particular people repeating the same storyline over and over in the Bible. I don't believe the Bible is real in the literal sense of these people actually existing, but I do believe that these people are personified aspects of our psychology that better allow us to understand what the story is about when we see it from a symbolic lens. So I'm going to start by saying that water represents spiritual truth. It also represents the renewal of consciousness. I'm going to point out different stories where water is mentioned. One is in the story of Hagar running into the wilderness. Another one is the servant trying to find a wife for Abraham's son Isaac, and her name is Rebekah. And then Jesus sending 2 disciples to find a location for the Passover meal. So again, keep in mind the theme is water and finding salvation in water because again, water means spiritual nourishment and a renewal of consciousness. So Hagar going into the wilderness is the same as you going into your mind. The wilderness is a scary, dark place with beasts and vines and a lot of confusion, and you get scared because you don't know what's going on. The same is with an overwhelming thought process. If you doubt yourself, if you hate yourself, if you have low thinking thoughts towards your identity, you are going to be trapped in the wilderness and feel spiritually detached, right? Your bottle of water is going to run out. When you finally get out of your own chaos and judgment of self, God will appear to you and say, why are you thinking those thoughts? That concept is mirrored to God pointing to Hagar to a well, saying, hey, look over there. There's your spiritual nourishment. You just have to remember to ask. You have to remember who you are. She gets her empty bottle, fills up the bottle from the well, and gives it to her son Ishmael, and Ishmael grows up to be a great archer. Being a great archer means you do not miss the mark. You hit a bullseye, right? And with your intention setting, you have to constantly reaffirm what it is that you want in this reality and keep hitting the bullseye to know that, yes, you've mastered the wilderness, meaning you mastered the beast of an untamed mind. The next story is the story of Abraham. Abraham's servant is to go out and to find a wife for his son Isaac, who then becomes Rebekah, right? And Rebekah, ironically enough, is also by a well carrying a jug and provides the water to both the servant and his camels. This is no different than Hagar getting water from God and providing it to Ishmael. Hagar's story is essentially restoring hope in a life that you were ready to abandon. Meanwhile, Rebekah is saying, no, I know how the mind works. I'm not abandoned by any means. I'm going to readily provide you water because I know I am God. I know I am eternal. I am the spirit. So Hagar is a lower aspect of the feminine, and Rebekah is a level up of the aspect of the feminine nature, which is your spirit. Then in Luke 22, verse 10, it says, behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you bearing a water pitcher. Follow him into the house. And then in the story of Rebekah in Genesis 24, verse 32, it says, and the man came into the house, implying that the servant went into Rebekah's house. And then in verse 31, it said, and he said, come in, thou blessed of the Lord, wherefore standest thou without? For I have prepared the house and room for the camels. This is Rebekah's brother welcoming the servant into the home. This is no different than the disciples following the man with the water pitcher into a home, and then the man that owns the home allows them to have the Passover meal there. Even though the water wasn't given to anybody from the man carrying the water pitcher, what's important to note is recognizing the water and following it, right, into the home. Again, like I said, water is a renewal of consciousness. It's spiritual awareness and awakening. When you follow your consciousness, when you follow what you feel is your spiritual awakening, where do you go? You go in a home to do that. This is your body, your vessel, your home, right? So all of this, the Bible will repeat itself over and over and over again. It is the same thing said in different ways. And the reason why I believe that is in order for us to understand something, 1, we need repetition like crazy in order for it to make sense. But 2, we learn things from so many different angles. Somebody might learn 2 + 2 = 4, right? Getting to 4 is the solution. But I might learn that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is 4. Okay, it's 2 different ways to learn, but it's the same answer. So by bringing up the story of Hagar, by bringing up the story of Rebekah, by saying it again for the Passover meal with Jesus, right? It's repeating the same concept at different angles. So we have a better chance of allowing it to click and sink in. Right? That's how the human mind works. It's repetition and learning it from all different angles, whether it's auditorial, visually, sensory, where you're touching it, right? People learn in different ways is what I want to get at. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Is it right or wrong? It's one perspective, but I think it makes a lot more sense for me personally learning it from a parable symbolic lens.